I call on the leader to arrange a debate on ethics and integrity in government. The independent civil service, I've been contacted by constituents, and that my honourable friend over there is clearly being contacted by constituents as we speak, desperate with worry about Labour's planned removal of the winter fuel payment from almost all pensioners. I'm glad there will be a debate and a vote next Tuesday. Labour backbenchers may be less glad at the prospect of being whipped to vote to remove winter fuel payments from pensioners earning less than half the minimum wage. 84% of pensioners in poverty will lose the winter fuel payment under these proposals. Is this their idea of a government of service, leaving pensioners in poverty shivering at winter time? Yesterday, the Prime Minister refused to explain why he is choosing to fund huge pay rises for train drivers and other state sector workers while slashing benefits from impoverished pensioners. That is not the kind of change Labour voters thought they were going to get from a Labour government, is it? The Prime Minister also refused to say yesterday how much less energy support an 80-year-old on just £13,000 would be this winter compared to last. Perhaps he doesn't know the answer. Perhaps he doesn't care. Will the leader confirm the answer is that 80-year-old on £13,000 will receive £600 less energy support this year compared to last? One pensioner wrote to me saying this: "The allowance meant I could turn the heating on. Now I fear hypothermia during the coming winter months." No wonder the public oppose this by a margin of 2 to 1. Several Labour members agree and have already signed a motion condemning it and will presumably vote against it. I hope all decent Labour MPs do the same. But will the leader confirm, if they do that, will they lose the whip like their rebellious colleagues last July? At this rate, it won't just be pensioners' heating gone by Christmas, it'll be Labour's majority as well. Mr. Speaker, I call on the leader, Madam Deputy Speaker, I call on the leader to arrange a debate on ethics and integrity in government. The independent civil service commissioner, a former Labour MP, has had to initiate an inquiry into improper appointments by this government. A government of service. It turns out they mean service to their cronies and their donors. It is just wrong to stuff party donors and cronies into what are supposed to be impartial civil service positions. Can you imagine the howls of protest if the previous government had done that? The Times to the civil service. No, the Times reports the Chancellor did not disclose to her permanent secretary the fact she had appointed a Labour Party donor to a senior civil service position, which would be a breach of the ministerial code. Will the leader now tell us, is the Times report true? We have even seen a Labour Party donor, Lord Ali, receive a Downing Street pass for no apparent reason, other than being a donor, of course. Who gave him that pass? Was it the Prime Minister, whose clothes Lord Ali apparently pays for? Extraordinary. Has anyone else here had a donor pay for their clothes? I certainly haven't. Or maybe Sue Gray issued the pass, perhaps forgetting to declare that Lord Ali also contributed to her son's election campaign. So will the government now come clean and disclose all of the politically affiliated appointments to the civil service which they have made? Will they confirm if the conflicts were disclosed as required by the ministerial code? Will they provide a list of all passes issued to government buildings to anyone other than ministers, civil servants and special advisers? I strongly suspect this self-proclaimed government of service will not admit to any of those things. So later today, I will write to the adviser on ministerial interests and the Civil Service Commissioner asking that they investigate independently these important questions. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, a lot has happened this summer. A lot has gone down, as they say. But the main thing that's gone down are the government's approval ratings. Just last week, More in Common found the Prime Minister's approval ratings have plummeted by 27 points in a matter of a few weeks, plumbing a new low of -16. It turns out that parading around in £16,000 worth of expensive suits paid for by Lord Ali, subverting civil service independence by stuffing it with cronies and donors, and stripping impoverished pensioners of their benefits isn't that popular after all. I think even the leader will now have to admit the truth. This has been an exceptionally poor start to government.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would too like to welcome back everybody for this new term, and I knew that my announcing the recess dates would be the big news of this morning, and I'm pleased to be able to help everybody with their family and holiday arrangements. And can I thank House staff who've worked away to ensure that many new colleagues have now got their own offices in this place. I'd also like to congratulate our Olympic and Paralympic athletes who have done our country proud on this golden summer of sport. I want to thank the police and the criminal justice system for how quickly they curtailed the thuggery and needless riotings we saw in some of our towns and cities over the summer. I also welcome the publication of the second report of the Grenfell inquiry. The findings are devastating, particularly that the deaths of the 72 victims were completely preventable. Now justice and accountability will follow. The report raises some profound challenges for building safety, regulations and recourse for residents and leaseholders, something I'm very familiar with my own constituency. We've made time for a first debate on building safety next week, and further time will be made available, and the Government will come to Parliament with its full response and action plan in due course. Madam Deputy Speaker, we've had a big first week back, delivering on our packed legislative agenda for change. We've taken our first steps to bring our railways into public ownership and enhance fiscal responsibility, the bedrock of economic stability, to ensure the Trust's mini-budget can never happen again. Second reading of Great British Energy begins the drive to lower bills and energy independence. And today we introduce the Water Special Measures Bill to clean up our waterways and make water companies accountable. And the House of Lords Hereditary Peers Bill will begin to honour our commitment to constitutional reform. This is a government of service, delivering on our manifesto. As part of that change that people voted for, we've also had to clean up the mess left to us by the party opposite and take the difficult decisions they ducked. A £22 billion black hole that was covered up from the British people and covered up from the spending watchdog.